Swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go to the
See, if we
Mario.
did just movie adaptations, we wouldn't have been able to talk about that.
They do the Mario in the Mario movie.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they do the
Denmark, show the.
They have the Mario rap. They do not do the Mario. That's a separate song.
Do the Mario.
I remember I was really disappointed they didn't do that for the credits.
Really?
Yes, I was like, because I thought they were going to do. That would have been so cool.
It definitely shows what they are ashamed of and what they aren't ashamed of, apparently. The Mario rap is fine.
Maybe when Selena would do the Mario.
She'll do the Mario.
Man, so Super Mario Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
When you first talked about Selena, she's like Mario. That has a nice wing to it when you first introduce yourself. And me, as a stupid 6-year-old, thought she was talking about the O in Mario. Because it's a circle like a wing. And I didn't understand what she... I didn't know that expression as a 7-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, that's cool. And I forgot when it was, but I heard the same line. But it's a character who did not have an O in their name. And I'm like, they're not using that expression right. And I remember I told my mom that she was confused, and I pulled up Mario Galaxy. I played the whole 30 minutes with her until I got to that point in the game, just so I could show that one speech bubble, and she explained to me what it actually meant, and I was like, oh, it's not the O.
No.
But I was like, oh, it has a nice wing to it.
That's a very interesting way to quantify something like that.
It makes sense.
I mean, I'm not saying your logic is flawed in any way. Like, no, that...
Just like how I think believing it was Tears of the Kingdom was very plausible. Because the kingdom is literally being torn apart. And it was before we saw the teardrop things. So don't say that, because you told me that last time we talked about this.
I wasn't talking about the physical teardrops. I'm talking about how Zelda was crying in the trailer.
She cried in the first game!
It doesn't matter.
What, the Legend of Zelda Breath of My Tears? Tears of the Wild?
There wasn't a question about that because it was called Breath of the Wild.
No, it's called Zelda for Wii U from most of its lifetime. They call it Breath of the Wild at the Switch presentation. That was a last-minute decision. But they kept saying, don't worry, y'all hear the title. You'll understand why we waited so long. And it was like, that just says it's an open world game. Why did we have to...
They just didn't know what
They didn't have the name. I read that with a logo ready, which is fine. But they did the same thing with Tears of the Kingdom. And it's like, what the heck? Oh, man. But so they'll, but on that, though, they're making a live-action Zelda movie.
They are. It got leaked, so...
Miyamoto made a mad tweet about it.
He was very angry with the Nintendo fans, and he said...
Here's 2 photos. Shut up.
He said, wait, you impatient troglodytes.
The dongos. There we go. I was trying to combine Gordons and the dongos. You impatient dongos.
So we're talking about video game adaptations this episode. Welcome to the Save State Podcast.
Think they're going to adapt the dongos?
I don't know.
In the Zelda movie? I hope they do. They're not in Breath of the Wilds. None of them.
You never know what'll...
Oh, excuse me. All 4 games. They're not in any of the 4 games.
Yeah.
Such a shame. Such a shame. I love... The dongos dislike smoke. Did you know that?
No.
That's a line for the very first Zelda game. It's supposed to tell you to throw bombs in their mouth, but a lot of people just figure they did it like smoking, like cigarettes.
They dislike smoking?
Yeah. Some reason that's what people took that.
Dongos wish that they would...
That's a flaw in the Family comic.
Do you expect me to remember every single Brawl in the Family
Yes.
comic? I don't.
I do.
Well, good for you. This is just gonna be the episode where we argue the whole time.
Name a Ball in the Family comic.
That's not what I'm saying. You're gonna forget the topic of the episode of the movies that we're gonna talk about, but you're gonna remember the Brawl in the Family.
Because I've only seen
comics.
those movies like once. I've seen the freaking Ball in the Family comics like 50 times.
When's the last time you read Brawl in the Family?
June of this year.
When was the last time you watched one of those movies that we picked up?
The last video game movie adaptation I've watched was Sonic 3.
No, it's not. You watched the first Sonic one the other day because you were listening to the commentary.
I didn't watch the movie. I listened to the commentary.
You said you were playing the movie.
Okay. But I was not watching the movie. I was listening to the commentary. Technically, I guess I did watch the movie. I did not think about that. You're right. You're right. My bad. My bad. I didn't mean to make that mistake. You're right. My bad. But no.
This is the greatest.
But I didn't sit down and watch it. I listened to it while I was getting this room set it up.
Right.
So I didn't really count the last. I haven't sat down and watched really any. I guess when we watched like the Super Show the other day. But I haven't read any of the I guess I've read some like I've kind of read IDW comics, but that's the only adaptation I've read recently too.
I honestly can't think, other than like the stuff that I've watched with you, any other adaptations that I've read or watched recently.
Yeah. Just because I'm curious. So in case you didn't say this already, we'll talk about video game adaptations today. So pretty much TV shows, comics, movies. If we want to talk about novelizations, we'll see if we can think of one. Actually, I can't think of one. We'll get to that later. Stay tuned. At the end, I'll bring up the one novelization of a video game I've read. It's in storage, so I can't pull it out as a prop. Actually, I'm not allowed to pull out props anymore. I've been told I'm banned from props. Because it's a podcast and I shouldn't rely on visual materials. Anyhow, so what? Because I feel there probably isn't a lot. What video game TV shows have you watched?
Video game TV shows.
I feel there isn't a lot. For you, at least.
I don't think I've seen very many video game TV shows. Like, other than like a few spare episodes of like the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, or like clips from Sonic the Hedgehog, like the various shows. Sonic Boom.
Yeah. I thought you watched a good amount of Kirby Right Back at You.
Oh, I did watch him a lot.
I just thought about that. Man, that's a big one.
It's definitely that's just about the only Kirby adaptation that exists.
Yeah, I suppose it's the mangas. The new
There's
one.
that too.
There's
But
the newer manga.
most video games have a manga anyways. Most Japanese games, at least.
They're doing another Sonic storybook manga right now.
What is it?
I can't remember. I think it's another one to do with a sword though, but it's not King Arthur. But it's another sword one.
Jesus. It's still so funny to me.
Sonic and the
12 Disciples.
No, Sonic and the Ten Commandments. That's the one I always hear people say. Sonic and the Ten Commandments.
I want to see that so badly, but it'll never exist.
Someone's doing a fan comic of on DeviantArt of Greek mythology. I can't remember exactly. I think it's called like.
See that?
I think it's like Sonic
obvious.
and like in the Olympians. That's what it's called.
That always seems
Percy
more...
Jackson vibes. I think about it.
I wonder if I wonder why they didn't go for something more obvious like that when they originally did the storybook collections. Because like you have Arthurian legend, and then you have the like.
I feel like Black Knight are like,
Arabian
let's
Nights.
give Sonic a sword.
Yeah.
And I
could have given him a sword with the freaking Greek mythology.
You could, but I think because that was all like knights and from a gameplay perspective, I see why that'd be really exciting to make.
Mm-hmm.
Secret Wings, I think they were just kind of like a way be a knight. Sure, be like Aladdin. Like they were just kind of like
they're just grasping at straws.
But like the Arthurian legend, there's a lot of cool stuff you do towards the gameplay. Plus, that's another fairly popular one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if it wasn't for Aladdin, Arabian Nights would not be nearly as popular as it is, or well known.
Yeah. At least in the here.
Yeah, at least in this
States.
This side. That's it. Maybe in Japan, that's like more of a Arabian Nights are more popular over there.
Well, I was thinking the Middle East.
Oh, well, yeah. Think of what the games are made.
Yeah, I know you.
There's a lot of Sega series. There's not a Sega of the Middle East.
Is there not?
No.
Hmm.
There's Sega of Australia. There's like 8 Sega buildings. I know this because in freaking Black Knight they credit every Sega studio for some reason. That's one of that era where they would just, even if they didn't work on the game, they just credited the entirety of Sega staff. And so the credits are like 20 minutes long. I think it's why Live Life is a 6-minute song, honestly. They're like, Johnny, June, we need you to really stretch this song out. Please. But talking about Sonic,
It's definitely the big one that's made a name for itself in adaptations.
6 TV shows, 4 comic ones, one that's currently one of the IDW. You have a trilogy of movies, soon to be whatever 4 is. Soon to have a 4th one, plus the Knuckles show. It has a few like shorts movies that they've done as well on Paramount Plus. I think Sonic has the most adaptations of any video game character that I can think of.
I'm curious if it correlates to like not output but like quality of games, or like I don't know, because like if you have a strong character that is like a gaming character, not to say you can't bring it out from games into like other media, but like Sonic is a lot, and I think Sonic is a strong character, but like not specifically tied to a game. Like he's a game character primary, but like he's kind of a concept you can take and put anywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like that's harder to conceptualize for other things.
Well,
Like
especially with Sonic, once you get into like adventure, they want to have more focus on story and characters. The Sonic characters in Sonic are very 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
They're not, they do have some of those mascot qualities.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are, but I say they're more complex than like Mario.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Mario.
Well, it's not trying to be.
It's not trying to be, and that's one of the things I like about Mario. But the reason why I do gravitate towards Sonic more than Mario is because it's more complex. There's more stuff to read into. It's why you can have a over 500 issue Archie comic one and really not have plenty of ideas to spin off of it from. Like it's why like you see the movies, even though we've had 3 like really good movies and plus the show, it feels like we're still barely just hitting the tip of the iceberg when it comes to just the content from the games. Not even talk about even with the movies, they've pulled up some inspiration from the comics, from the shows. Like the whole thing of the Master Emerald also being being formed from all the Chaos Emeralds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing from I believe Fleetway, if I remember correctly. Yes. No. Well, it's a thing of Fleetway, and then Archie kind of also did something similar. And they talk about they kind of took inspiration from how other mediums adapted the Chaos Emeralds for the movies.
Just kind of like what the coolest sort of thing is.
Yeah.
And I think the point you made about Mario is interesting too, because I think this like Mario is harder to conceptualize into other things other than games at times, or at least it feels like it's hard to do it well. Because Mario is a lot more varied. I would say a lot of like the Sonic like spin-off stuff is pretty good, like for the most part. Like the shows are all pretty good, the comics are good for the most part.
They have a pretty high batted average.
Movies are pretty good, and then you have Mario, and like we just watched the Super Show.
The Super Show,
and it's definitely trying to aim for a different audience.
In defense of the Super Show was made off the basis of Mario 1 and 2.
Yes, which they did not have much to go
literally
off of.
All they had was Mario and Luigi are saving Peach. They brought Toad in to have this to kind of round out the cast.
They're plumbers from Brooklyn.
Yeah. They brought freaking Mauser from Mario 2 USA to have his like Bowser's like lackey, which actually I don't think we saw any episodes we watched, but he's in most of the episodes. We just haven't watched the 2 episodes he wasn't in. Well, we watch a lot of the Mario 3 show.
Yeah.
And that has the Koopa kids come in and Mauser just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
The
snivelly of
honestly, very similar
Mario universe. But no, so I wonder if that, because I think it's harder, but it's also presents an opportunity because Sonic is a very defined character. He's the cool speedster guy. Mario is a lot more up to interpretation.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna be blasphemy to some people. I think Chris Pratt is a really good pick for Mario for the Mario movie.
thought he was a
And-
bad pick.
Well, I know, like, we've talked about this before, but this isn't just for to put it out there, because especially with the angle they went with in the movie, where Mario is just a guy.
Yeah, just a dude.
I think it's why I think what's his name in the Super Show? I forget. Captain something.
Lou Albano.
Lou Albano. I think he was a really good pick too, because it was just kind of like a guy. Like he had a more of a like tried to do that Brooklyn accent.
Yeah, Grufford.
Because that's who Mario was in the '80s. But like that worked really well for him. I still really like that Lou Albano's voice for Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the other guy, the guy who did Luigi.
Yes.
I think that to me that is Luigi's voice. Even like I think Charlie Day does a great job. I think the modern actors do great jobs.
You know,
I love that voice for Luigi.
for all of the greatness of Hotel Mario, the one thing I think that game did really nail was the aesthetic of Mario and Luigi. Because that's when I think of their voices, I kind of think of those voices from there. I think partially because of like memes, but
they're kind of similar to the Super Show voices.
they are very similar in like vibes. Because like
Yeah.
Mario's a lot more like lower gruff, like Brooklyn guy, like
Yeah.
hey Luigi, and
Hey
then
Luigi,
and then Luigi's a bit more high pitched voice.
I hope he made lots of spaghetti.
Like that's like the characterization of those. But then the interesting thing is you have the games and both like it almost feels reversed. Like Mario seems more high pitched and Luigi is like not too much more, but like
Well, I think it's interesting because in terms of the games, Luigi's Mansion was the first game that Luigi had got his real personality.
yeah.
But like it's something that it hit me while we were watching the Super Show. Luigi, that's pretty much his personality nowadays. Where like he's kind of more scared,
Like a coward.
timid, cowardly guy. But, like he'll step up to play when he has to.
Yeah.
Like he won't. That's one thing I do like about him. Super Show. He won't run away. That's what makes him different from like just the average civilian.
Mm-hmm.
But he is the fourth one. Like I'm not sure about this, and he's like, but like I don't. There was a part I forgot which episode we were watching, but he was like, okay, I guess we're doing this, and he was the fourth one to jump in. I was like, dang, I didn't. It's just something. I don't know why. There was just a nice little character detail. I'm like, that's nice.
And this kind of goes back and forth with a lot of like this is just when media gets adapted differently in general, but I wonder if Nintendo kind of borrowed some of that when making Luigi's Mansion, like especially if he didn't really have a strong defined character up until then.
Yeah.
I think taking that sort of archetype of you have Mario who's a bit more like hero-ly or like whatever, and then Luigi who's a bit more cowardly is
Well, it does a nice little underdog story too.
yeah.
Because that's what Luigi saves Mario at the end. Well, he saves Mario in all the games actually, but no, I do like that. And I like again talk about Super Show, and it's two like semi sequel shows, 3 and World. I really like what they do with those shows. I think World is definitely the weakest of the 3. I think at that point they're like we're running out of ideas.
I think you summed it up best with the theme song is the best part of that show.
Yeah. Well, it's very, that Super Mario World shows it's like, okay, we're going to go to the Mushroom Kingdom of the past. And then let's just have Mario introduce, like, Cars, the cavemen. And there was some good episodes
Like the
there.
Flintstones almost.
Yeah. But, like, that's, like, cause that's when ghost houses were introduced. And they do eventually they go to a ghost house. And that's a really fun one. You have some fun episodes of, like, Yoshi and all that. I don't think you were too big fan of Yoshi's voice.
It's just very, like, not... It's not what I
It's very Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
It's very much that's what they were going for, that Scooby-Doo animal partner vibe.
Yeah.
But I think we can all agree it's the worst adaptation of the Mario series. The live-action 93 Mario movie.
But even going into that, like, as much as I don't like that movie, like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not a big fan of that movie. But especially hearing the background, because after we watched it, I watched that, I think it was the Gaming Historian
You
video.
watched that video?
I watched that. I at least watched a good amount of it.
Yeah.
And, like, hearing, like, how that, like, because it was a couple who, like, were the main creators, or who conceptualized the world, like, given what they were and trying to make it work, I can't blame them because, like...
Well, I know there's a story of eventually they got locked out of the editor's room.
Yeah.
Because they were just so controversial. They got, after that movie, they were blacklisted from Hollywood. They have not been in another production since.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, I forget, I think it's, it was a really revolutionary, like, MTV thing, like, Maxwell's Room, it was like, it was revolutionary. Like it was a fully CGI human looking host, but it was really impressive. Looking.
Max Headroom.
Max Headroom.
They made Max Headroom.
Those are the people behind Max Headroom, the same directors.
Wow.
So they are very
That's kind of crazy.
That's why. But the original like scripts for that, it was going to be more fantasy. It was going to be a fantasy. Toad was going to be there. It was going to be like a CGI Toad that was going to go with them. It was going to be the same person them from Brooklyn, which was like the lore at the time. But it just transformed more and more and further to eventually we got what we got, where it's like Dino Hatton, and you get all this stuff where it's like all the weird stuff, almost like Jurassic World or Park-esque.
Well, it's like the concept of like the reptiles evolving into humans instead of apes evolving into humans. That's kind of I feel like the Mario movie has the opposite effect, where it's like something is like, shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say. It's like it has a neat concept, but the execution is like it's not done in a way that's kind of interesting.
Well, you know what the interesting thing is about that movie? You know what came out the same weekend?
Jurassic Park.
The fourth Jurassic Park came out that same weekend, so that like really
it buried it.
It buried it. It's why I feel that movie would have done well at the box
office.
Would have been better. It was for that, especially they were leaning really to the reptile dinosaur vibe. Another weird decision in that movie. Well, why was Princess Daisy the main princess, and Mario had some random love interest? I can't remember. I think her name was like Victoria or something. Vanessa, something like that. It was just like, what?
There was some. Well,
that movie.
How many games had come out at that point?
At that, because Yoshi's in that. But that, we're talking about Super Nintendo. At this point, Peach was well established.
Yeah,
she would now be calling Peach at that point.
That's really strange that they went with.
Like, if they would have called a Toadstool, like I would have given them that was still that.
How much involvement did Nintendo have in that movie? Not much.
They weren't like full on. They sold the rights, but they were more involved than. It wasn't like the Sonic movies where like Sega literally just does not do anything for those. I know they were more involved, but it's not like the Illumination Mario movie, like Miyamoto's produced.
Yeah.
Like, they own 50-50 shares in those. Or like the Zelda movie.
I wonder if that was more just an idea of like, oh, we have this character Daisy, and like she's not like she fit the idea of what they had in Story Mind better, but also like.
But at the time, Daisy was only in Super Mario Land. This is before she was in tennis, because that was her second game was tennis, and that was in '97. So like we're talking about they just looked at Super Mario Land, which came out 4 years ago at that point. Yeah. We'll say 2 or 3 years because production pipeline, but still like you picked a random goal from the Game Boy game.
It's definitely interesting.
So it's kind of like it's just stuff like that. Trust the fungus. I love that. That's a fun line. Everyone do the dinosaur. That's a good song.
The Goombas.
The Goombas. But no, that movie is. It's on. You can find it on YouTube.
Everyone's seen that movie at least once.
If you haven't seen it,
the fact that both the main leads were drunk half the time they were
look
filming.
Up at the very least. If you don't watch the live action Mario movie, look up the
gaming historian.
The gaming historian's video on it. It's a really good video. I guess sit here pretty much retell you that whole story, but just go watch that video. Really good story about everything that happened with that production. One last thing I will say about it from that video, Luigi and Daisy's actors, they got married after that production.
That's so. And
funny. I believe they're still. I think they're both still alive. I know Luigi's actor is. I know Bob Hoskins passed away a while ago, but I know Larry Lugamanzo, something like that.
John Leguizamo.
That one, yeah. I butchered that name so badly.
Funny thing about John Leguizamo, because when they made the Super Mario Bros. Movie with Illumination, he got really bent out of shape on Twitter.
That's why.
Because one, I guess he thought that he was gonna get approached to replay Luigi, and then I guess he had a problem with the fact that like. I don't know if it was specifically Charlie Day or just how they were portraying him, because like it was not how he portrayed Luigi. I think he had in his
even though he went on to say that the Mario movie was his least favorite movie he's ever worked on, and it's like
I feel like
what are you doing?
It was one of those like washed out celebrity moments, where it's just like very much out of touch, and it's just like, why is everyone doing this differently? Everyone's weird and wrong, and like look at me, I'm better. Like I think it's that sort of vibe. That's what I got. It was more just funny. I know Bob Hoskins was like, "Yeah, this was horrible."
He said
he broke his arm
in several his wrist.
Oh, his wrist.
Because he had a hand. You can see it in a lot of shots. They painted it, but he has a full hand cast.
It's so funny how bad that movie
I don't have
is.
the Blu-ray release. I have the DVD. If you watch the Blu-ray release,
you
can very. The DVD, it's a little hard. It's kind of fuzzy. But no, yeah. But it's a neat little movie. Definitely a part of its
It is
time.
something you should watch. It's not
because especially it's now gets buried because it's a new Mario movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're going to say, oh, the Mario movie, and like it's almost this, for lack of a better term, cult classic kind of thing.
Yeah,
it had its cult value to it.
Well, like
and now you say the Mario movie, everyone's always like, oh, the Illumination movie.
It's like the Disney Frozen effect. You ever heard about that?
Oh.
So complete sidebar. There is you know about they froze Walt Disney conspiracy theory, right?
Oh,
no,
you have told me
like
this.
they froze his head or something. Basically, for those who don't know, there's a theory that when they made the movie called Frozen, it was for SEO. Searching so when people Google
look it up on
Walt
Google.
Disney Frozen, the movie came up instead of the conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't actually do that. It still appears anyways, like in the.
Well, no one looks up Walt Disney Frozen.
Right.
They look up.
I think before that movie came out, if someone was just like, "Oh, I heard this," they might have done that. But it's also like it's very much just like
maybe Disney's Frozen, but even then, I feel you're supposed to have a Frozen movie.
Or yeah.
Like you talk about building up. Obviously now, like if you type in Frozen, it shows up. Like before it became a hit. I don't know. I see playing.
It's a very out there theory, but
I
probably.
I feel like it's someone on like 4chan said it's a joke, and then people took it seriously.
That's usually what happens with conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But it's just funny to me. That's why I always think about it.
Yeah, but so going to I want to go back to comic books for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's been a lot of video game adaptations of comic books. We talked a little bit about the biggest one, I think, Sonic.
Yes.
You had Archie, you have Fleetway, you have currently IDW, and that I feel like could fill a whole podcast for this if we really wanted to.
Maybe if like something crazy happens in IDW, like either it's ending or something, we would definitely like do a deep dive.
Maybe if it's when issue 100 comes down in 2 years, maybe we'll do like a retrospect. That could be fun.
Let us know if you'd be interested in that.
But I went back and I've now read every issue of Archie, the original Archie one of the Sonic comics, and that is such a trip. You had so many different writers and working on that. Comic Drake has done a couple of really good videos talking about the Sonic comics if you want to go more in depth. But that is just when they started that, very similar to the Super Show. All they had was Sonic 1, and then they had to write Tails in almost at the last minute because Sonic 2 came out alongside it. And then like the comics had introduced their version of Knuckles. When they had to write the Sonic Adventure adaptation, Sega didn't give them anything. They just gave them the new character designs. It was I've got Patrick Spaziante, who was one of the artists. He actually still works on IDW. He at a local game store, he was able to get a Japanese copy and a Japanese Dreamcast because the Dreamcast came out nearly a year earlier in Japan, so he was able to get an early copy of it, and none of them knew Japanese, but that's how they were able to stitch the story together. He played through the game, gave the writer at the time Ken Pender's like kind of his transcript version of it, and that's why the story actually ended up being pretty accurate, all things considered. But like, it's why it has some kind of weird things of like, oh, like why did this happen? Why does Eggman have a new coat? Some of the more weird stuff. That's why
Wasn't that with the Eggman redesign?
Yeah,
that's when they did the whole
Eggman robot clones.
Which I gotta say, that was probably a smart way to do that.
So they were told. I'll tell the story of Archie because I don't want to make this a Archie Sonic podcast.
Yeah,
but there was a lot of cool stuff. So issue 50. This was 1995. Sonic's popularity was weighing down. You know, they were like, okay, the comic's probably going to end here at issue 50. They knew they had up to that. So they're like, we're going to do what they called the Endgame arc, which was totally what inspired Avengers Endgame. Look it up.
First use of that phrase ever.
Yeah, there totally wasn't an Endgame arc in the Avengers comics in like the 70s. Anyhow. But they pretty much it's going to be the whole thing. The comics are mostly based off the Saturday morning Sonic cartoons with the Freedom Fire, Sally Acorn, all that. So once that show wrapped up, they knew they were probably next on the chopping block.
Well,
but they were like,
you say wrapped up, but it didn't really wrap up necessarily.
no, well, story wise it didn't, but they were never greenlit for a third season.
Yeah.
That was because they defeat Robotnik at the end of that show.
Mm-hmm.
But then they tease Snively and some of the other. Anyhow, that's a whole other thing. But they were okay. We're gonna have the big final fight between Sonic and Robotnik, and then this huge thing that they were building up to for a while, and eventually they go toe to toe, and it ends with Eggman dying, or Robotnik at the time. Robotnik never comes back. There's one time travel issue where he comes back and then he gets put back to his time and dies. But outside of that, Robotnik is gone. And for the next 2 years of the comics run, it's all about because they were just kind of like we'll just kind of keep twiddling our fingers until they say we're canceled, right?
Yeah.
And eventually so what happened was a Sega. One of the CEOs of Sega, with some executive, he was at a grocery store, because Archie was in grocery stores. He was grabbed an issue and he bought it just out of curiosity. He makes money off of it. And he flipped through and he was like, where's Robotnik? And so he gets like, hey, like, there's like no mention. And they're like, oh yeah, he's been dead for the last 17 issues. You're like, you need to bring him back. Like, we can't just not have our main. So then they bought and it's because then the adventure adaptations getting ready. So they pulled a robotic Robotnik from another dimension, which was already established, but it was like a one-off gag.
Yeah.
They pulled him. They had this whole arc of him like mind controlling and all this other stuff. He came back. They defeated him, but then he put his cybernetic mind. He copied it into another body, which is how you got the Eggman design.
The new Eggman design. Yeah.
Which you saw in Adventure and so forth. And for the rest of the series, it's Robo Robotnik, or what he called himself, Eggman. And eventually, they had something with aliens. And
they make him
They made him human. And so then we get to kind of sweep all that under the rug. Cuts comics.
No, yeah, that's definitely the reason why, but it's so funny.
But no, it's a very.
I remember when you told me that for the first time. I was like, "That's so weird."
The art, I would love to have you read through Archie, but like, give pretty much abridged, give you sorts of issues to read and like have you kind of speed through. Cause that's how I read it for. Is I found a abridged thing, but I found a reading guide for it. It's on the screwyoupendles.com Tumblr page.
Nice.
But no. No, Archie, like I said, I can talk about forever. I won't go on for too much longer, but there's a lot of really fun history, a lot of legal battles. And you have a lot of really good story arcs. Stuff that... The cool thing about Sega not supervising it was they could do stuff that Sega just probably would not let them do. Like another thing with Archie, you had the... back when the Chaos Emeralds were all green. And then when they're like, hey, you need to make all the Chaos Emeralds 7 Chaos Emeralds again... What they pulled a whole thing where each planet in the solar system had a different color Chaos Emerald, and they had all them had this big evil plan Eggman had. He's gonna bring them all together, all his sonic foils, but it ended with the 7 chaos, all the hundreds of Chaos Emeralds becoming 7, and then all that cosmic energy created the special zone, and that was a way of integrating like the half pipe and all that fun stuff. But yeah, no, Archie, there's plenty of videos at this point. Low Art, he has like a 12-hour video go over the first 200 issues. And it's a really good video. That's the last thing I'll say on Archie, because I don't want to go on about it too much longer, but that's another good one if you want to get more of a deep dive. But talk about another video game comic adaptation that you have a lot more experience on than I do. The Super Mario Adventure comics.
Yeah, from Nintendo Power.
The Nintendo Power Super Mario Adventure comics.
I think most people have seen this at some point because they're pretty like.
They sell it at Walmart.
Yeah, they're still like the compilation that I had that I originally read it in was. I still see it everywhere, but yeah, it's in my opinion probably the best adaptation of Mario outside of the games, including like any movies or shows.
Yeah.
it roughly follows like the plot that you would expect. It's like the Mario Brothers are there to fix pipes, and then Bowser comes, attacks, kidnaps Peach or tries to. They try to foil him, but there's so much like small bits of characterization in that, and like a lot of comedy, and I really enjoy it. And you have they throw in a bunch of like characters who are not in any Mario games, but like Friendly Floyd.
Yeah.
And just there's something about that that style of how they do it is just very funny. It's very much like it feels like a comic strip like you would read in the paper, but like all stitched together. Like I think it was definitely like
And Nintendo Power, they would give you 2 pages each month.
mm-hmm.
So that's why it was a bit.
Story, right?
It's why they were able to have a bit more substance. It wasn't like a strip, but it was about 2 pages a month. I remember quicker than Nintendo Power. Actually, I have one Nintendo Power issues that has that.
Oh, that's so cool.
I have to look at that. It's because I have the Dr. Mario issue, which I think has one of the Force Mario Adventures in it.
But it has something that I think became a lot more popular later, especially in the other games, with cross-dressing Luigi, and then Peach dressed up as Luigi, which is a very fun little bit in the comic, which there's a reason why they do it, but you should pick that up and read it somewhere. It's
I think it'd get you to play the Mario RPGs. I think you would. Especially the more I thought about it, I think you would love. I think you'd love the story. I think you like Mario and Luigi's humor. I think you would really like the story of like Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario.
I think I would. Yeah, it's been on my list to play since forever. But
yeah,
do you think we'll ever get a Mario movie adapting Thousand Year Door?
God, have the freaking noose in the middle. I can't believe they kept that in the remake.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
No, they did, but they took away the chalk outline.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess it's like, it's just rope. I guess the knot, it could just be like, oh, well, it's just a loose rope. It's not a noose. It's just...
They made the knot more detailed in the remake.
Oh,
like,
well,
it's...
Maybe they just don't care.
Yeah. No, but...
But I do like that, and kind of going on, it's a different kind of comics. It's manga, but my favorite adaptation of Pokemon, other than the games...
I forgot about those.
The Pokemon Adventures manga.
Yeah.
Absolutely best adaptation of Pokemon, other than best story in Pokemon whatsoever, other than Sun and Moon. I like Sun and Moon, and I haven't gotten to the point in the manga where they adapt all of that.
Yeah,
I've only read like the first 2, like I guess it's arcs, because like every game kind of has an arc, because you have the first one with the.
It's very similar to how the anime did it. Because I think more people have seen the anime.
Game. Yeah.
Where they go like this, like the Kanto, the Orange Islands, you know.
I have been wishing for years, and when they rebooted the Pokemon anime recently, there was a very small but knowingly hopeless hope in me that was like, I really want them to adapt the Pokemon Avengers manga and give it a proper anime.
Yeah,
but I don't think it ever will happen, because like the manga's pretty old at this point.
Well, they want to keep the anime up to date with. Well, it's like how the manga's up to date with the generation.
But and that's what I'm thinking too, because I would love for them to have like 2 Pokemon animes. I don't think it's ridiculous for them to have that, and they've done that before. Because they did was it Pokemon Origins or Pokemon?
I think that's what it was called. Pokemon
with
Origins.
Red. I haven't seen that either, but I know it's like kind of similar.
Good. It's like 44 minutes altogether.
It's not very long, but it's
like a little like a movie.
Yeah,
much.
It kind of adapts just the Red and Blue story.
Yeah, but that's a good one. They also did for the 20th movie, the 20th, 24th, 22nd movie, they kind of like that reboot of the Ash Ketchum story. They had like 5-minute short films in each of them, and it was the origin stories of the legendary Pokemon. So the fourth one, it was the boards, second was the dogs, and third was, is that the lake spirits and Hoenn? That's Hoenn.
No, Hoenn is Groudon and
that's what it was. It was Groudon and Kyogre.
And then Rayquaza.
And that's what it was. Yeah, I was like, it was a trilogy or a trio again. And that's what it was in that one.
The Earth, Sea, Sky trio.
Yeah, that was. I did not see that movie.
They call them the Delta Trio, actually.
Yeah, it's a Delta Trio. That's the one
Delta
movie.
Trio, Delta. Anyways, go on.
I didn't see that movie in theaters, so I didn't remember that one as well. But I remember the other 2.
I guess the Pokemon anime in general is like a pretty popular adaptation.
Yeah,
I think over the years, people kind of question whether like the Pokemon anime, like with Ash and whatever, was like the best. It was definitely aimed at like young kids. It was not super like.
It kind of changed. Like it's like I feel like X and Y was aiming more for like the teen
Demographic.
I feel like Sun and Moon anime kind of went back that because Sun and Moon was kind of like a soft reboot of the anime.
It was,
and I feel like they went back to more of the
say,
target audience of like 10, 12.
This is not my bias, and I totally wasn't 10 and 12 when I watched it. Sun and Moon anime is really good.
Oh, not saying you can't enjoy it, but it's
definitely a tonal shift.
from watching it, you can tell Sun and Moon is a lot more anime.
Yeah,
and like in the
the art style changed in a decent amount.
They gave Ash a little like lines on his cheeks.
Well, the lines were always there. Everyone was like they made everything more rounded.
Yeah, I guess it did. I think they made the lines more defined. I don't know. That was the thing I noticed for some reason.
Do you remember when that was the most controversial thing in the Pokemon and Nintendo? Well, maybe not Nintendo, but at least with Pokemon, was when they changed the anime look.
Oh, I remember back when Pokemon's always been controversial. On
well, no, but like at least that for that period in time.
I remember when it's black and white. The Force. I know. Not 3D, but like 3D environments. Was that black and white? I think so.
Maybe I think there's some. I know.
Because like the cities are like 3D models. Yours still pixelated.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
but that was a big. People were like, how dare they put 3D models in my Pokemon game?
I mean, some people still say that.
Yeah, and some people are wrong.
I like the 2D sprites. This is a conversation for another day, but.
I think we talked about this during our Pokemon episode.
I think we did.
But I guess because everything comes back to Sonic.
It always returns to Sonic. Right?
I feel like we can't not talk about the movies.
Yeah. I like the movies.
Sorry, I was gonna get him and grab my Santa's hat, and then I was like, no, I'll be good.
Yeah.
I won't grab my props. I'm trying to be better about that.
We talked about this recently, actually, but I think our consensus on the Sonic movies is like as they go on, they kind of get better.
Each one gets better. The fourth one's like a solid family movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a Sonic movie, but it's a fun family movie.
It's definitely it's kind of like the Pokemon Let's Go of the video game franchise. It's getting people introduced to the concept of Sonic.
Okay.
It's giving people their first experience.
I agree with your explanation. That was a bit of a stretch.
It's a little stretch.
That was a bit of a stretch, but I see the connections.
It's pushing a character that people know passively. Like, people know Pikachu. They're like, oh yeah, it's that guy in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But then they're like, wait, there's a game with that? And so they play Pokemon Go.
You see his tail got popped during the Macy's Day Parade? Only his tail.
That's funny.
But I saw...
Papa Nintendo's not going to be happy about that.
Well, he just came by and I was looking, I'm like, Eevee's tail is fine, because Eevee's the better Pokemon. But I was like, his tail's popped. It was just like drooped over the side of the bobsled the wind.
That's so funny.
But the other fourth one, which is like, I'm gonna be so excited to watch the fourth one.
Dude, that movie was hype. I love that movie.
And that was the last movie, pretty much everyone's last movie before the pandemic.
Yep, it was you, me, and Lucas.
Yep. Yeah, well, it was a lot of us. There was like 7 of us.
No, it was just you, me, and Lucas. I think you had other friends that I had
other friends that you didn't really know too well.
That was fair.
It was people like you and the audience know, yeah, but it was like 7 of us. There was
okay.
Because that was back when we were like on good terms, so we weren't like best buds or anything at the time. Yeah. So you were just, I think it was a thing where you might I think you overheard me and Lucas talk about it. I have an issue. I don't know how it came by. Moment. I don't know how it came by me inviting you, but I was like, yeah, I'm down for you to come.
I think it's because you were talking about it a lot when the Sonic movie came out, because it was your the big thing.
Oh yeah, Sonic. I love Sonic.
We love Sonic.
Sonic's back there.
But no.
But then you had Sonic 2, Sonic. I think the big one to talk about Sonic 3.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Wade Whipple show featuring Knuckles. I do really like the Knuckles show. I just feel like I went in with the wrong expectations. I went in with expecting like a Sonic Prime, like fully game based show.
Yeah.
Not
what they're
Sonic movie. And I like when I look at it in that context, I'm like, that show was really fun. But I do remember I was watching it, I had some family over that night as I was finishing watching the show, and I was watching the last episodes that we were getting subbed in, and they were like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Oh, it's like a spin-off of the Sonic movies." Like, it's about Knuckles. Like, okay, like, where's Knuckles? I'm like, oh, he's fighting, and then, like, it cuts to him fighting, like, the big robot. I'm like, yeah, there he is. Like, oh, okay. And then they're like, why is this about Bolin? I'm like, well, you didn't watch the other, and then I was like, I'm gonna stop explaining this. It was, I'm like, this is too much. At least he didn't come into the Flames of Disaster or walk opera.
Flames of Disaster.
I do like that they integrated the Flames of Disaster in that way, and like pretty much Lord's Knuckles fought Iblis to get his powers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's because they're not going to adapt Sonic 06.
No.
At least not all the stuff with the Iblis and the Iblis trigger. I think Silver's going to be they're going to be one of the hedgehogs they bring in eventually, because like I think if this kids see new hedgehog,
He's part of the trio.
Yeah, you got to have they're going to recreate the Sonic 06 poster, like the three of them together, and yeah, but
not actually reference what it's from though.
No,
just say what it's from.
No. But then you had Sonic 3, which was just like, what's that SA2 pretty much?
Yeah, I think that's probably as close as we'll get to a straight up game adaptation.
Yeah, because I think Sonic 4, people say like, oh, they're not going to call, it's going to be Sonic CD the movie. I'm like, no. I don't know why people keep saying they're going to rename it to be Sonic CD.
That's just going to confuse people.
That's it's going to be, one, it's stupid. Like, even...
They probably reference it, but...
Well, yeah, just because Amy and Metal Sonic.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to pull more of Amy. Honestly, they're probably going to pull a lot from the comics for Amy.
I wonder if they're going to do time travel plot.
I wonder. Because that's what I was saying maybe it's going to be like something of Eggman and time travel. Maybe that's how Eggman comes back. Maybe he is actually just dead.
Maybe that's how they write off all of the human characters.
I feel like the way if they ever want to fully write the human characters, for some reason Sonic and they all have to go back to his world. Yeah. Or he just decides it's time for him to go back to his world. See, set up Sonic 5. Or the
It's his.
The Sonic Cinematic Universe special event movie, or whatever the heck they're calling the 2028 movie.
So I realized Sonic 3, I feel like this kind of gets glossed over nowadays, but the hype for that being, including the Live and Learn, was very real.
God.
Yeah, there was a debate up until the movie came out if it was actually...
We did not know, because Johnny Jelly was like, we sold the rights of the song, but he said that doesn't mean they're going to use the... Cause
he also entered a legal battle with Sega, like, right when the movie was coming out.
That was the same time.
Oh, that's not good.
But that's the thing, because he was like, I gave them the rights to it, but like they used it in the teasers and the trailers and motifs. That could have just been it. Mm-hmm. You know, technically they used it. Because I think it was January of the beginning of 2024. We got that teaser where we found out Jim Carrey was coming back. Yeah. You got his little laugh. That's and eventually we got the Keanu Reeves reveal with
That really someone should study that with how.
The market of that film was like weird, but it was a really well done slow build up. Because then you had all of a sudden all the projectors are like across the globe on like famous landmarks of like different logos, and all of a sudden like it's the next night they had the dates on them. They had those Sega Genesis cartridges that they sent out to press.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Saying the date for the final trailer. You had. Of course, I can't talk about Sonic 3 if I don't bring up the movie premiere I got invited to. Yes. I went to the Atlanta premiere. They did several premieres. They actually did two. I found this out recently. They did two premieres in Atlanta on the same night. The other one, they had Tika Sumpter and James Marsden's at. It was for a children's like hospital type thing. So I'm not upset. I won't lie. I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw that they were at a different premiere down the road, literally it's like 5 minutes away. Yeah. My initial thought was like, why didn't they just do the same thing? And then I did research. I found out it was like for like I'm like, okay, like because I think Colleen Oshagi, Tails actor, was also there. I know Jim wasn't. I know Keanu wasn't. I know Ben. It might have been Idris Elba as well. But like it was like a thing for I think it was for CHKD. That or like the Children's Miracle something, the Miracle one I came up with the name of. But I'm like, okay, because there's like pictures. I found out because I looked up Sonic 3 Atlanta event on Getty Images. Fun fact: if you look up Sonic 3. If you look at Sonic 3 Atlanta event, you'll find me eventually in the Getty Images. If anyone buys my photo on there, let me know.
Tell us what you're going to use it for.
Tell me what you're going to use it for, because legally, I can't say no. I am legally bound to let people use that for whatever they want for they paid like the $2,000 for it.
And then you're gonna run for public office, and someone's gonna find that, and they're just gonna be like,
"He sold out the Getty Images."
No, well, they're not gonna. They're just gonna use like old photos of you because people do that when
me, my blue polo.
Yeah, the Sonic polo.
My Sonic vest. But no, you bring up the Live and Learn thing. I'm a real. So John went to me to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole right up there, he was like, "Can you give me?" He knew it was gonna be like a adaptation of SA2. Just to be clear, because we'll talk about Sonic Adventure 2.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most people know that, but it's just something in my head. I'm like, I don't want someone watching to be like, SA2? What's SA2? But Sonic Adventure 2, he's like, can you give me a rundown of that game's plot?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot, especially when it comes to like potential references they may do.
Didn't you say that while you guys were driving there?
Well, it was a 9-hour drive.
Yeah.
For us. So, yeah, it was about 2 hours of the drive. So we breaking down Sonic Adventure 2 references, like bringing up like the levels like Metal Harbor. They might do some, I was like, I had to explain all the lore of the Bio Lizard just in case I did it.
You gave him a crash course on Sonic lore.
Well, then it just became. Then he started asking stuff about Shadow. Then I brought the stuff about the Black Arms, which actually is playing into the movie because Shadow came from an alien meteorite, and it looks like a Black Arms meteorite.
Leaving it open.
Like the fact that the Sonic heroes are already aliens.
To play the devil.
It's me, Adams. No, he was the genie.
No, but they got to get him to play him. Because it'd be funny.
No, they need to get Goku's actor to come back for it.
I'm Goku.
I'm Goku. I mean, Goku. Black dude. But I give that a crash course, and then he was like, "Do you really think they're gonna use Live and Learn?" I'm like, "I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure. I'm like, I feel like it's gonna be such a make it or break it if they do or not." And then, but then when they did, there's a scene. I feel like at this point people have probably seen at least seen the clips. Spoiler. So when Sonic
3,
Sonic and Shadow have a big fight, and then they come together and they do the big like hand thing. They grab each other's hands from the games. They go super, and it goes dun 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 dun. And I mean, so we had a packed theater of a bunch of YouTubers. I mean, the reaction. What I remember, I was sitting next to the Paramount executive who was there. And I remember I happened to go at one point. Well, first of all, I jumped out of my seat, and this was pure instinct. I just could not control my. So we saw Sonic 2. There was one or two moments. I think it was you or Lucas who like told me like quiet down a bit because I was just It was mainly the end when he went super, and they did a Sonic X. Oh gosh, excuse me, a Sonic X reference.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, let me calm down a bit. But like that, I'm with a bunch of fans. I don't care. But like this instinctively, and I wasn't the only one who got out of his seat. So I was like, okay, I'm happy about that. But I shot up. I was like, it's a Live and Learn, yeah! And we were all like super hyped. And as I was sitting down, I happened to look over, and that Paramount executive, she had the biggest smile.
Oh, that's sweet.
She was really nice.
I thought she would be like.
No, they were all so nice.
That's good.
Everyone
they probably sent their best PR or their people.
They were all super nice. The Weagle people, the people from YouTube, the Paramount people, the Weagle staff who were there at like midnight.
Yeah.
Wait, and I'm sure they got paid for. I hope they got like somewhat compensated for that.
I'm sure they did.
For all the stuff they got to do, but that was such a hype moment that whole time, and I could never finally release these. But they had us do these interviews in the lobby of the theater afterwards. Right. If anyone, they said these were going to be on like Instagram and TikTok. I could never find them. If anyone watching this remembers when the Sonic 3 movie was out, them doing like, looks like just like random people.
Like press interviews,
but it's just like random people in the movie theater lobby. Please put that link in the comments because I would love to see. They said they were going to use mine. That doesn't mean that they did, but they really liked my take, mainly because I was really passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
All the creators are, it's fun to meet them, but a lot of them they like live like locally, and they're more just like, oh, fun opportunity. But they like, I was like a hardcore Sonic fan, so they like, I was really into it. But one thing they specifically told us was no spoilers. So like I remember but they also asked us, what was your thoughts on the post-credits scene? And obviously it revealed Amy and Metal Sonic, and I'm a massive Metal Sonic fan. I own every Metal Sonic action figure. Fun fact. And I was like, I told him like, and I remember, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, I remember saying it's really hard to explain it without spoiling it. I was like, but like, longtime Sonic fans, especially if you're a fan of like the Genesis games, you are in for a treat. I'm like, personally, it was my all-time favorite character who's coming in the next movie. And then after I said, I'm like, was I allowed to say there was a character reveal? Like, yeah, like people know that much.
I feel like,
But
what else
just the
would
fact
it be?
that they were like, I had to sign a lot of paperwork for this. I signed 4 different NDA forms for different groups. When we did the interviews, they had us fill out more stuff. They had us. I mean, there was so much. There was security there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. You don't normally have security at movie theaters. I was. I mean,
So you have the Paramount and YouTube executives who will probably make millions of dollars.
make more than
a
I
year.
make. Yeah. But there weren't no YouTube executives. It was like the creator, the partner program people. But they had. I think it was mainly for the people doing the interviews because they had a bunch of expensive equipment, and the theater was still open for part of the time we were there. So like it was funny because like I forgot what movie was showing a while at the time, but some other movie was showing, and the people walked out and they were just like, "What's going on?" And we had to like explain to them because then like they came out and like I felt bad. One of the production guys was like, "Y'all have to be quiet," and I told them, I'm like, "They're just coming out of the theater. They're not us." I'm like, they don't get what's good because the guy was like, because we were being kind of loud multiple times while they're doing the interviews. Eventually, we just went back into the theater room until they were ready for us, so we could just talk about the movie. But anyhow, me rambling about that aside,
We know it was a fun experience.
it was
We
a
really
very
enjoyed it.
memorable experience, and I hope Sega or YouTube, whoever's watching this, Paramount, please, I would love to come back for Sonic 4. And honestly, if I got tickets for like the real LA red carpet one, I would be willing to fly. Just saying.
You would fly for Sonic.
I would. I almost did for the Game Awards for Sonic. I would. If you want me to play Frontiers 2, Sega, yeah. I'll fly me out to Hawaii. You did it for everyone else for Frontiers. I'm just saying. I want to be. Buddy me up with Alpharad.
God.
But no. What other adaptations we got to round this out? You got any other ones you want to throw out?
I didn't. Oh well. So, I think the strangest adaptation that is still popular, still getting movies, still is relevant to a degree, is the Angry Birds movie.
Oh, we didn't talk about Angry Birds.
We didn't talk about that. I'm glad. Did Sonic 3 beat out the Angry Birds movie in terms of the critical best Sonic or
Sonic
best movie
3
adaptation?
is the highest rated
Okay,
video
I'm
game
really
adaptation.
glad because I was really bothered for a while that the highest rated one was
I think
like
Sonic-
Angry Birds 2.
Angry Birds 2 got knocked down a while. I think Sonic 2 knocked it down.
Okay.
I know Mario movie did, and then Sonic 3 knocked that. It got knocked down a few pegs, and I was like, Angry Birds 2, I actually think it's a pretty good movie.
No, not to say they're bad movies, but it's like it's sad when like the mobile game app from 2011 does better than the franchises with like 20+ year histories.
Or just, again, no offense to Angry Birds movies, but they're very much like the epitome of, like, I think both the Angry Birds movies are very much the first Sonic movie.
Yes.
Well,
like celebrity voice actors.
yeah, well, like, I do. I'm glad. I feel like Sonic 3 deserved it.
Again, not that they're bad movies, they're just like.
Last thing about Sonic 3, it got snubbed for the Game Awards.
Yeah, that's very true.
And it's the highest rated video game movie, or video game, not movie, just adaptation. What the heck, Jeff Keighley? What the heck? But to round this out, I'm gonna bring up the novelization adaptation.
Right.
If you watch the whole time, look at me being smart, getting that watch time hours. If you watch this whole episode, you've been waiting for this. You probably really haven't. But
probably don't remember what we said this.
There was a lot of Halo novelization books.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like the small, the small but really thick books.
Yeah.
That cheap paper, and they're like 500 pages, but they were in a normal book, they're like 200 pages.
Yep.
They sold them in those books. It was part of the Halo Legends line. And they just told different stories of different Spartans from the Halo series. They did have a straight adaptation of the actual games, but they told different ones. They later added those into the Halo Legends DVD, which is they did a bunch of animated versions of these stories, including Red vs. Blue. But But Wentworth's Blue didn't get a book. At least not to my knowledge. But it was cool because it was just, you got to see all these different perspectives of the war and all of that going on. Because obviously you had Master Chief, but you got one of them was based on there was the one I first one I had as a kid was based off I forget then what's the bad guys from Halo.
The aliens?
Yeah, what are the aliens called? The bad ones, but then they end up helping you in 3. The aliens from Halo, the early Halo games. I can't believe I'm upset. It's a very basic name, but they aliens from Halo. They have it's one that takes place on Halo 3 in the final like the finish the fight war.
Mm-hmm.
They have you would see the perspective of the one that helped Master Chief,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really cool because you get to see a lot of stuff that you don't see in Halo 3, and it's all stuff that's like semi-canon. And I'll be honest, when it comes to Halo, the thing I get the most into with Halo is the story.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest FPS guy, but I think it has a good story. At least the original trilogy and like Reach. I think 4 is a fun epilogue. I think Halo 4 is my Toy Story 4 for you, honestly. I'm like, there's one or two things I'm kind of like, this is a really dumb decision. But like, if we had to have Halo 4,
Mm-hmm.
it's a fun little epilogue. I kind of like some
I
parts of
wonder
it.
that the Halo show did so bad.
Well, because you're like, let's have him take off his mask in episode 3. The hate. I don't even want to. It's on Netflix now. That's how you know it's how bad it is. When Paramount fully funded it, it's a Paramount exclusive. It was in the freaking Paramount Super Bowl ads of like them climbing up Paramount Mountain or whatever, and then they're like, let's put it on Netflix America, not like use a VPN. It's just on Netflix, the Halo show.
Crazy.
And people are like, oh, and then everyone's like, oh my goodness, we can finally watch this. And then everyone's realizing it's still a really bad show.
Yeah, nothing changed. I guess we didn't talk about any shows that, or I guess we talked about
a few.
the modern shows. I mean, I know the first season of The Last of Us was good. I've heard mixed things about the second one.
I've never watched. It was because the second season adapts the second movie or game.
I feel
and
like
that's already a controversial.
Shows sometimes can fit like that, like something like Fallout or
Fallout show
Last
was
of
really
Us.
good.
I know people really like the Fallout show. I feel like it's only a matter of time before we get like a
So,
Skyrim show.
The nice thing about the Fallout show, from what I've never seen with a ton of people, it takes place in the universe. It's a completely separate story, though.
Yeah.
But it's not like like it's happening during sorts of events,
Mm-hmm.
but like it has its own characters. It takes place in the world.
Well, and that works too, because Fallout, from what I can tell, is a very open game in general.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of are your character.
God,
Also, The Witcher. I just thought of The Witcher.
that's a good adaptation. I have seen that The Witcher. I've not seen the final season, but I've watched the first ones. Talk about another one I have seen recently. I finally watched Borderlands.
The movie.
It's
it not
okay. I don't think it's horrible.
I know.
I'm sure if I
don't like it.
played the Borderlands games, I would not like it as much. I'm like, it's okay. Jack Black, I think, is kind of funny as Claptrap.
That was the other thing.
But like all the other actors don't feel like they really fit their characters.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of had that we needed celebrities. I feel like Jack Black as Claptrap works. That's kind of his humor, anyways. Like, I'm like, yeah, that fits. But
I feel like Claptrap is already an annoying character who's meant to be annoying,
Yeah.
but like so it kind of fits Jack Black, especially when people are getting fatigued with him.
I just because I want to like complete the circle, I want Jack Black in one of the Sonic movies.
Just like a small.
Have him play Big the Cat, a small wall. I think that would be really fun. I don't see his voice. I feel like I would love to see him do a more laid back. Like I could
Don't do your normal voice.
But I could see him do like a more laid back, just kind of like, "Hey, Sonic." But he already had such a corny
You can
voice.
get anyone to play Big.
But just get Jack Black.
No, just because it's funny, so he can be in every video game adaptation.
It's like to get Vin Diesel to do freaking Groot. It's like you could have got like freaking
anyone.
Jim Cummins to do that. And like paid him like $20, like like
Yeah.
But no, another fun fact about Sonic movies. Talk about A-list actors. One of the reason why they don't have in the post credits for 2 and 3 where Shadow doesn't talk, Amy and Metal don't talk, and they talk about it in the 3 commentary.
Oh yeah.
It's because. Because I'm shocked they let them say this on the commentary. Honestly, the like DVD one, But it's because since Colleen, they were not gonna have Colleen come back for 2. They just needed someone to voice up for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she came back because fans, the outcry, and they're like, well, now we have to bring her back. But it's like, they're like, that's why after that, Paramount was like, we're not allowed to have people voice them and for future post credits so they could get their A-list celebrities.
Because I feel like if there's any franchise that is at the mercy of the internet, it's definitely Sonic, all things considered.
Oh, yeah. But they got the design to change, they got...
They already pleased them once, the expectation is
also
that they'll do it again.
But we joke about, but also like movie 3 did over $500 million. The franchise as a whole has done $1 billion just in the box office. Toys, especially Sonic 3. How many that Sonic 3 took up a good portion of the toy aisle for a while.
Yeah,
they still have those 3-foot-tall Sonic toys that no one wants.
Yes,
but that's not Paramount's problem. They already made their money. That's now Jack's problem or Walmart's problem. But they made a lot of money off of those figures, and they did like 4 lines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've probably made billions on that now with more.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Halloween costumes, all that stuff. But
the interesting thing is when something gets more than just when a video game becomes more than that, it's definitely marking a period where this has entered the cultural zeitgeist enough to where it warrants something that's a bit more accessible for everyone.
But no, honestly, like, you see that trend. We even saw that with Mario Galaxy movie. We have Brie Larson, who I think is a great casting for Wizlina.
But still a celebrity voice.
Stuff like that. But yeah, but anyhow, I think as a whole, that kind of wraps up our adaptations. I'm glad that we ended up doing. I think we talked about a bit again. We were just going to do movies, and that's mainly what we focused on.
Yeah.
But it was nice, we got to talk about the comics a bit, talk about the shows. It was kind of nice to touch on it a bit. Cause, I don't think we're going to ever do. Unless y'all really interested in us to talk about like IDW when it hits issue 100, maybe we'll do that.
We'll see. That
might be more of a niche episode, anyways. But that could be fun to have a more niche episode. But I don't think we would do one just talking about like let's talk about video game comic books.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even talk about the Mega Man comics. Anyhow.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Oh no. Anyways.
Oh no. I don't get to talk about.
Moral of the story is that if it's popular, they'll make more of it because they want money.
Yep.
But otherwise, that's going to be it for this episode. Let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about in a future episode. We'll be wrapping up the year here soon, but we'll be coming back strong. We have a good
slate of episodes coming up.
We'll be coming back strong in the new year. Might change around a few things, so please let us know what things you want us to tackle coming up. But yeah, if there's anything else you want us to improve, you think we could do better, let us know in the comments. But otherwise, you guys take care, and we'll see you in the next one.
Boy.
Bye, guys.